My name is Arius, and I play games. Valheim is an upcoming survival and sandbox video game by the Swedish developer Iron Gate Studio. Published by Coffee Stain Studios, early access kicked off February 2, 2021. As this is a fairly new MMO game, we're sure you're excited to start playing. But before you jump in head first, there are some things you should know. This video will give you the Valheim beginner tips and tricks so that your first day playing goes as smoothly as possible. Now that you've picked your character, what's next? Resource gathering. You'll need to get resources as soon as you can in order to successfully survive your first few days. Fortunately, items spawn intuitively, and knowing how and where requires only a little understanding of the rules. Some rules are quite easy. Wood, for example, tend to be near trees or stone that can be found on the ground. Others require a little more careful observation. Flint is a good example. It's only found near or in the water. If you want flint, look for bodies of water. Creatures work the same. Boars tend to be near water. Deer spawn in the meadows biome. Skeletons spawn near burial chambers. Look for the commonalities when gathering resources, your surroundings, the landscape, or even the time of day. The rules might be subtle, but learning will help you be more successful. There's a tiny arrow in the lower left corner of your mini-map that indicates the wind direction. You'll also see some white streaks in the world which represents wind. Be aware that your character's scent can be carried by the wind. Animals, especially deer, are sensitive to scent. If you're upwind, a deer will run away long before it sees you. Staying stealthy while hunting means being aware of the wind direction and where your character is standing. Learn new crafting recipes. Learning recipes is easy in Valheim. All you have to do is pick up an ingredient. At the beginning of the game, picking up a piece of wood and a stone unlocks the stone axe, the club, and the hammer, your first set of tools. When you find flint, you'll unlock the next set. Pick up at least one of everything to unlock new recipes. You don't have to fill your pockets with everything you find. Just focus on what you need to collect. Your inventory only has 32 slots, and your armor, clothes, and tools occupy several of them. Space is at a premium. You'll also eventually become encumbered by weight. There are things you'll always need, like wood for building or food for eating. But don't be a hoarder. Concentrate on what you need right now. A dozen mushrooms will last you a long time, so maybe don't stop to pick every one you see. Repair everything right away. You're going to spend a lot of time chopping down trees, mining for ore, and fighting enemies in Valheim. All of that work is going to take a toll on your armor, tools, and weapons. You might think, since everything else in the game comes at a great cost, so would repairing. Guess what? That's not the case. You can repair any armor piece, tool, or weapon at a forge and workbench for free during the early release periods of this game. Whether or not they will continue to allow this, and for how long, is unknown, but stay tuned for future updates. As you use weapons and tools and take hits against your armor, your gear will degrade. You can see the health of any item by looking at the white bar below it on your inventory screen. When the white bar is depleted, your items will no longer be usable and must be repaired. To repair any item, take it to either the forge or a workbench. With the crafting station's menu pulled up, click on the hammer icon. Next, to the crafting list. Each click will fully repair a damaged item in your inventory. Keep clicking until everything is repaired. Feel free to fix your items every time you're near a crafting station. Build only what you need for now. During early gameplay, focus on what you need to survive so you can build greater structures as your wealth increases. Simple structures like a lean-to, A roof and 3 walls is good enough in most cases, like when you build your first workbench. It requires a roof, and this works perfectly. Similarly, a quick and temporary camp with a roof and a bed are often all you need while you're still new and exploring. Once you have enough materials, having a warm place to sleep between expeditions is nice. A simple house with a door, walls, a roof, a fire, and some basic amenities give you the rested effect, which increases your health and stamina regeneration for some time. Making a comfortable home. The rested buff is one of the strongest buffs to have in Valheim, and should be up whenever you're doing anything in the game. The length of your rested buff is determined by the comfort level of the building you gained it in. So once you start to make bigger, more complex, and more permanent bases, you'll want them to have the highest comfort level possible. Comfort level is determined by the features each building has. While you won't have access to many of the best comfort items until later in the game, here's a list of things you should include in your main base to maximize your comfort buff. Though, some items will require you to kill the first boss to craft them. And here they are: campfire, bed, a shelter, banner, rug, table, and chair. This is a fairly cheap way to get all the way up to a level 9 rested buff, which should last you through most of the day and can be refreshed at night just by visiting your base again. Eat different foods to increase health and stamina. You'll start the game with a base health of about 25 points, and you'll have a pretty limited stamina gauge. You'll burn through both of them quite quickly. Eat food to increase health and stamina. The mechanics here are a little tricky though. Eating food increases your max health and stamina for a set time, and it heals you every tick, an in-game unit of about 10 real-world seconds. You'll see all of this happen when you hover over a food item in your inventory. You can eat up to 3 different things at a time. All of their effects will be active and stack. You cannot eat another of the same food until the timer runs out. The icons to the left of your health bar help you keep track. Eating food immediately increases your stamina bar, but it does not immediately heal you. It only increases the maximum number that you can regenerate health to. Let's talk about how it works with berries. If you have 25 health and you eat a berry, your max health increases by 10 to 35. But you don't have 35 total health yet. Over time, your health regenerates to your new maximum of 35. First you increase the meter, and then you fill that meter. Treat bosses as objectives. Valheim is a vast sandbox, and it's incredibly easy to get distracted exploring, hunting, gathering, or building massive structures. There are goals, though, and working toward them will help you keep focused. Remember, each boss requires preparation, and that preparation moves you through Valheim's intricate technology tree. For example, to defeat the first boss, you need better weapons. To make better weapons, you need specific resources and a workbench. And then a workbench needs a house. A house needs a fire, and so on. The entire game is an elaborate stack of dependencies, and preparing for your next fight gives you a clear path through them. So don't get distracted. Know what you need to achieve the next goal, and go get it. Defeat bosses and explore biomes to continue progression. As an open world, you can wander pretty much wherever you want right from the start. That doesn't mean you'll survive the trip though. Like we said, you can think of Valheim as one long dependency tree. You need this to build that. You need that to build the next thing, etc. Your progression along that tree is tied to finding new resources. Finding new resources usually means traveling to a new biome, like meadows or black forest, and each new biome has a new boss. And that means beyond just treating bosses as objectives. Defeating bosses and traveling to new biomes is how you unlock new crafting recipes, new weapons and armor, new upgrades, and new building materials. Each biome has its own unique characteristics and offers various new materials and items that will keep you progressing. Valheim Combat Basics. When fighting with a melee weapon, hold block. This will help mitigate damage in the direction your block is facing. So do your best to keep your enemies in front of your block. As long as you keep moving, backpedaling, and circling your enemies, you'll be more prepared for their attacks. This allows you to wait for a counterattack opportunity and capitalize when timing is appropriate. It's also a good idea to craft a shield as soon as possible, as many enemy attacks will do more damage than your standard block can handle. A shield will dramatically increase the amount of damage you can safely block. If blocking still causes you to take more damage, use dodge roll instead. Hold block, then press spacebar plus WAS or D to dodge in a given direction. Always keep an eye on your stamina bar. If it gets low, you can sprint away with what you've got left or retreat while blocking. Walking and blocking both allow your stamina to regen the same as standing still, while sprinting prevents stamina regen. Not only will being out of stamina prevent you from attacking with melee weapons, but it will also cancel your bow attack if you haven't released it yet. Be aware of your surroundings. Use the terrain to kite enemies around objects like fallen trees or large rocks. Pay attention. If you don't know what's behind you, you're liable to end up trapped and unable to avoid enemy attacks. Constantly check behind you if you're backpedaling. Additionally, many large enemies such as trolls can be fought more easily in rugged terrain. Being aware of fallen trees or large rocks can give you a huge advantage against these foes. Ranged weapons can also help. Shooting a few arrows and then repositioning your character is a solid strategy against most enemies. This won't work as well in your rugged terrain, so be sure you're comfortable with melee combat as well as with your bow. The bow has plenty of drop, so if you're shooting at something more than a few paces away, aim high. As you hold down the attack button with the bow, you'll see the reticule gets smaller. The longer you draw back your bow, the further your arrow will fly, and the more damage it will do. You'll know your bow attack is at full strength when the circle stops shrinking. Utilizing the secondary attack feature depends on the weapon, and some weapons don't have a secondary attacks at all. With no weapon equipped, the secondary attack is a slower, stronger kick. Test out secondary attacks on any weapons that have them. You'll know if it's available if, with your weapon drawn, there's a secondary attack binding listed in the bottom right of your screen. Another great defensive maneuver is parrying. Instead of holding block, you click the block button right as the enemy is about to land. You'll execute a perfect block. This stuns the enemy and lets you land a more damaging blow on them. You'll know you did it right if you hear a distinct ping sound when you block. Plus, your enemy will stagger backwards. Practice this only when healthy and ideally against weaker enemies. Remember, this game is all about exploration, discovery, using your wits, and knowing the mechanics. The more you understand how things work, the more successful you will be. Pay attention to your surroundings, and above all, have fun. Valheim has been a great game so far. I can't wait to see what else is in store for us in the future. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you more great content. My name is Arius, and I play games. Cheers.